1.
Hi, this is Juha Bach from Team FOE x PPG, and I got 5th place at the Las Vegas Regional out of 62 or 63 people. It wasn't 64, we didn't hit the cap, we barely missed it by 1 or 2 people. And I did it with Red Jiren, my favorite character, and this is something that I really wanted to do since set 3, since TOP came out and we got a Jiren leader, and it was a really terrible leader. But I said one day I'm gonna top or win an event with Jiren, and I technically got what I wanted, just not with that leader, this leader of Jiren. So this is the deck profile for my top 8 Jiren deck profile, and I'll start with the leader. So the leader's effect is you can take a life, look up the top 7 cards of your deck, and then play a 1-drop Universe 11 in rest mode. And then he has Spirit Boost. You can neg a marker off your Unison to evolve when your opponent declares an attack. And then he awakens at 4 or less life. He untaps 1, draws 1. And then on the awakened side, he has the same effect of the Spirit Boost effect. Twice per turn, limit 2. When you evolve a Jiren, he gains 5k, so you can make him 25k if you evolve twice. And when he swings, he draws a card, just like any generic leader. And then starting off, there's 4 Topo Unisons. So this Unison is it's an almost unkillable Unison with the way you play the deck. It gains a marker at once per turn. You can +1 gain a marker and play a 1-drop red battle card from your hand. It doesn't have to be a U11, so you could play any red battle card. When you activate an evolve skill, he gains a marker and 5k, which is how you're able to gain potentially 2 markers per turn. And then his neg 7 is you deal a damage to your opponent, and that actually comes up quite a bit, and I'll explain how in a little bit. But so this leader Spirit Boost negs a marker, but then Topo gains a marker when you evolve, so it's a free Spirit Boost basically. And then we get to the most important battle card in the deck, the 1-drop Hipster Jiren, the Hood Jiren. All my friends give this guy different nicknames. This Jiren is your starter. You when you play it, you look up the top 5 cards of your deck, and you get to add any Jiren, Red Jiren or Unison. There's no cost. You can grab the big one. You can grab any of them. He also has another effect that's completely irrelevant, where you can pay 3 red energy to evolve a 4-drop Jiren, but all of the Jirens that you're evolving are free anyway, so that's a completely irrelevant effect. You want to resolve as many of these as you possibly can off of your leader effect, your Unison effect at the end of the turn. This guy basically searches everything that you need in the deck, and then the more you resolve him, the more consistency you'll have throughout the game. And then the second Jiren is the Corn Dog Jiren. So this guy, when you play him, you draw a card, and then his effect is when he's in the drop, you can bottom deck him, discard a card, and you can grab any 5-drop or less Jiren from your deck. So between these 2 Jirens, you basically have access to your entire Jiren chain. So basically, when your leader effect takes a life and you hit one of these 2 Jirens, this one draws you a card and this one looks up the top 5 and grabs something. So it's like a pseudo take a life, draw a card. But there are moments where you take a life and you don't actually hit one of these, and so you took a life for no reason. So because of that, I play 4 copies of this guy. So this guy is actually pretty terrible. Like he's a 1-drop U11 that draws a card and gives all your 1-drops, not including himself, barrier. It came up one game where someone tried to Kai me, and I had this guy and a bunch of my 1-drops. So when they warped the board, all of my 1-drops stayed. But outside of that like niche scenario, him giving barrier to my 1-drops is almost completely irrelevant. There's a 1-drop Kunshi from Draft Box 5 that I didn't have access to at the time that is better than this guy, because when you play it, it negs something by 4k, so it's good for against King Cold when you can neg Berry Blue. But yeah, so I run 12 of these guys to ensure that I can consistently take a life and draw a card. Even with 12 copies, I've still whiffed every now and then with this with these ratios. So now I go into the evolve Jiren. So starting off with this Jiren is a free evolve over a 1-drop Jiren. When you play him, you draw a card and you neg something by 10k. This is actually really important game 2. Game 2, I almost always hold on to this guy and any of the 1-drop Jirens, because game 2, a lot of people will side Dark Power Black Masayan, and your only out is to, without negging, is to play this guy for 1, and then evolve for free, draw a card, neg the Masayan by 10k, and then use your leader's effect to look up top 7 and play your guys. Because outside of this, you have trouble outing a turn 1 Dark Power Black Masayan that a lot of people side against Jiren. Also, he's really good for clearing the Eddy tokens when they do the take a life, negate, play a token. Afterwards, you just evolve this, draw a card, neg the token, and keep on attacking. He's just very good because he's free. He's usually the one that you, when you have the Unison and a 1-drop and they swing, he's the one that you Spirit Boost to. They usually swing at him or the Unison. So no matter which one they swing at, you're going to draw a card and they're probably not going to clear this guy turn 1. Next, after this guy, you have this guy. This is literally the best card in the entire deck. This is what makes the deck play. It costs 1 energy to evolve. It evolves over any 1-drop or 4-drop Jiren. It's a dual attack. It draws a card when you play it. It gives your leader or Unison or any red card other than itself 1k. But the most important thing about this card that makes it broken is that you can detach 2 materials under him or take a life to protect him from being removed by any skill. You can still neg this guy off the board, but outside of negging him, there's no way to get this guy off the board. So usually you'll play 1 on turn 2, and then you'll play 1 the next turn, and after, eventually there's games where you have literally 3 of these guys, and it's just like swing for 19, swing for 19, swing for 19, swing for 19, swing for 19. So you're basically just spamming as many of these guys as you possibly can. This guy is basically unkillable. The blue can't bowjack. Against blue, you want to play as many of these guys as you can because they can't bowjack it to bottom deck it. So it's just anyone that's played against Jiren knows how much of a pain this card is, and I think most of my games were won off of this card because it's safe to go in. It's safe from any arrival besides Cooler. It's safe from Heroine's Lineage. It's safe from basically everything in the game. Then we get into Jiren Zenith of Power. This is the big Jiren. This Jiren is the Jiren that everyone is afraid of. Most of my so it costs 2 energy to evolve over any 4-drop or 5-drop Jiren. It negs something by 35k, ignoring barrier, and when it swings, when it's in rest mode, you can detach 1 battle card underneath it to restand it and give your leader 5k. So it's basically a dual attack double strike. The thing about this card that makes it so powerful is that it single-handedly gets rid of the bowjack. A lot of Icarus players, what they'll do is they'll rival the bowjack and then they're tapped out waiting for the best time to activate Aegis. So then you just drop this guy, neg the bowjack by 35k, and now they're tapped out and they have to defend against 2 35k double strikes on top of whatever else you had on the board, plus potentially 30k leader swing and a bunch of other attacks. This card, even though it's very powerful, I didn't really use it as my game ender. I used it as a clear a threat or force my opponent to either take 2 damage per attack or lose a big portion of their hand. The majority of my games were won through attrition because of this guy. And then this guy, despite being intended to be the game ender of the game, I didn't close out a lot of games with him. He was just there to basically put my opponent in a tough spot, and he always did that because every time I dropped this guy, my opponent assumed this is how I was going for game, which forced them to over combo, to not take these double strikes, or to burn through negates. And then we have this TP. This TP is the most broken card in the deck because it's basically a super combo. If you have 4 of these in your hand, this is basically 40k combo power because it lets you continuously recycle your any of your 1-drop U11s, any of these guys, you can just swing with whatever, combo 2 of them off, discard to bring them back, swing with something else, combo, discard, bring them back, etc. This card does so much. I think I could literally make an entire video of how good just this card is. It's not once per turn, it's from set 9, so this card was not future proofed. It doesn't have limit 1, so you can literally spam as many of these as you want. It restarts your chain for free. It gives you so much more combo power. Most of the time, my opponent will ask me how many cards I have in my hand, and I'll be like 7. So they'll assume I don't have that much combo power. So I'll discard one of them, bring 2 back, and suddenly I have a lot of combo power. This is basically 40k combo power on its own. And then we get to the actual super combo, 4 Coquettes. So the reason why I'm playing this Coquette over Raditz, this is a shout out to my team captain, Eddie. He suggested I play Coquette. I was playing Raditz originally, but he suggested I played Coquette because when you Spirit Boost Evolve on your opponent's turn, all of these Jirens draw you a card. So when you Spirit Boost, you neg a marker. You Evolve, you gain a marker and draw a card. You put one of these super combos under it, you gain a marker and you draw a card. So this combo basically draws you 2 cards, and your topo gains enough markers to where it becomes, I don't want to say unkillable, but the opponent basically gives up attacking it because it's at like 5 markers on like turn 2. So at that point, they just ignore it because they're not going to be able to clear it. They only attack it to prevent it from getting to neg 7, which I have managed to neg 7 a lot because of said combo where I'll do the Spirit Boost Evolve, so I gain a marker on their turn, and then on my turn I'll gain 2 more markers, and then on my kill turn this dude is at like 7+ markers, so I will get my opponent from 4 to 3, neg 7, get them to 2, and now they're in double strike range. And then 3 Yamchas, you're playing a red deck with a Unison that I just mentioned, gains a bazillion markers in 1 turn. So of course, you're playing 3 Yamchas. Although I did side it out a lot because I played a lot of my matchups were mostly blue, so I sided this guy out a lot. But when you're not playing against blue, this card is just it's always live. It's live as early as turn 1. And it's another 15k attacker for a deck that's pushing for a lot of damage early on. And lastly, this is my my red package. I've been playing this package basically since set 11, since Red Broly, King Vegeta, King Piccolo, now Jiren. Every red deck is playing a new ruler. They're playing a Fighting Against Fate. They're playing 1 to 2 copies of Champa or Supreme Kai. This is basically just adds to the pressure when you're swinging with a bunch of dual attacks, dual attack double strikes, etc. This is just another way to close out the game. You have to play these guys before you do Zenith, because Zenith is the big one. This guy, when you play him, you cannot play non-U11s for the rest of the turn. So you have to bring these guys out before you Zenith. So that's something to keep in mind. And for the negates, 4 Eddie negates. This is basically the only defense that you really need, because it synergizes well with the leader, because there's times where you're at 6 life. The opponent tries to clear the unkillable guy. You take a life to go to 5 to protect them. Now your Eddie negates are live. You go to you activate when you go to 4, and then now you can awaken next turn when your opponent tries to stall you out. I've had games where I have 2 to 3 in my hand, and I'll go for game, and my opponent will all combo with like next to nothing in their hand, and now they can't kill me because I have 2 to 3 of these in hand, and then I'll just try again next turn. And now this is the secret spice of the deck. 3 Broly Crowns. So like I said in my last King Vegeta deck profile, I do not own multiple Broly Crowns. I own 1 now. I was borrowing 2 from my friend, but I had to give it back to him after the event. This card is a staple in every red deck in this format. You want to force out the Zamasu. Most decks are leaving 2 energy open when Icarus Aegises. If they don't use that energy right away, you can just crown them and force them to either Zamasu or just rip a card out of their hand. Against blue, you take out super combos, you take out Bojacks. It's just, in this format, this card is 100% a staple in my opinion. The only reason I wasn't maining 4 is because I just couldn't find room for it. And that's the main deck, which I also couldn't find room for an SCR, which is why I had to side my SCR. So going into the side, there's the 4th copy of Broly Crown that I was, of course, borrowing again. I sided 1 Supreme Kai of Time because this card is really broken. I think it's the best SCR to use for this deck. But the problem with this deck is that unlike King Vegeta, you're actually paying energy when you're spamming out your cards. So paying 1 energy to play this and then swinging in 1 energy to board wipe felt too expensive in this deck because you want to use that energy to evolve your guys, have your energy open for Champa, etc. So in this deck, when I was main decking the Kai, it felt like I never really used it because I was using that energy to play my cards. So, but at the same time, I felt like I couldn't play the deck without it. It's just a card that's too broken in my opinion, so I sided it out. I sided it. 2 Kettles. So this guy's a Denial of Hope. If you're going second, it's not worth really siding it, but if you're going first, this card's amazing because you can fulfill its condition of having Bond 3 very easily, and it's a Denial of Hope for anything 20k or less, and then it draws a card. Oh, sorry, let me specify. So it's a 3-drop that becomes a 2-drop if you have Bond 3. So you can fulfill its condition easily on turn 2 if you're going first. So when your opponent tries to Bojack, you can Denial of Hope it because it's a 20k. That does, and it also negs something by 10k when it comes into play, and it's a 15k attacker. I sided these against Gohan Icarus. And then this card is another staple in this format, in my opinion. So my teammate Giancarlo, he played my deck card for card, but he mained 2 of these. And honestly, it's probably not a bad idea to main 2 of these because I sided this card literally every single round. I sided multiple copies of this, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, depending on how relevant I felt the Koitsukai was in my matchups. But this is definitely a card that should probably be main decked. Shout out to Yomi for letting me borrow all 4 of these. I don't own a single copy of this card. Oh, and when you combo this with Crown, it just makes your opponent's defense turn. When you're going for game, when you combo this plus Crown, it just makes your opponent's defense turn really awkward. I sided 3 of these Zorays. So it's a TP from the set. This guy has Bond 2. He cannot be KO'd once per turn. This guy is mainly for SS4 Vegeta. So you play him turn 1, then you use your Leer's effect, and you play any of these 1-drops. So now his Bond 2 is live. So when your opponent swings with their leader to try and ramp, you block. The guy doesn't die because you have another U11 on board. They pass, and now you basically can prevent them from ramping for the rest of the game if they don't get rid of this guy. And even if they do get rid of this guy, he's a 1-drop U11, so you can use the yellow TP to recur him over and over again. 2 Deborahs. Shoutouts to Jordan Markle for beating me at Gen Con with Cell Surge, so you gotta respect that deck. No explanations needed for that. And the last 2 cards, this was kind of something that I was just testing out. I wanted to see how it played out. I did not side it once whatsoever because I played mostly blue, and this card is horrible against blue. This card is a negate, and you can Spirit Boost, neg X amount of... First, they neg something by 5k, and then you can neg X amount of markers, and for each marker that you neg after Unison, you neg something by 5k. So if you have the topo with like 8+ markers, which you usually do have a high number of markers on your topo, you can potentially neg like a Gogeta thwarting the Dark Empire for literally free. But it never came up. So that's my top 8 Jiren deck profile. Something that I'm very excited for because, like I said, people now know Jiren is my favorite character, and I wanted to, top with Jiren in real life, or just top or win an event with Jiren ever since set 3, when Jiren was basically unplayable. So I'm very happy that Bandai made a playable Jiren deck. And I'm also happy that I was able to share with my teammate Giancarlo the very first in real life Jiren top performance. I know, shout out to Android for being the first to top an event with Jiren, but it was an online event, so I can say me and Giancarlo can say we're the first to top an in real life best of 3 event. So that's something that I'm very proud of. Shout outs to basically everyone that helped me brainstorm. I've been playing this deck since literally the day the cards came out. And actually, I've been playing this deck literally since before they finished revealing the cards, because I remember when the set came out, I tested with what they revealed day 1, and then day 2 they revealed the little other 1-drop and other stuff. So I've been testing this since literally the day that the cards were announced. Shout outs to Matt Coombs, Frisco Foss, for helping me come up with the very first rough draft. Shout outs to Miguel from Topo Loco for helping me continue to improvise with the deck. Shout outs to my teammate Eddie for basically kind of breaking the deck. He's the one that came up with the crown idea and spam this guy instead of trying to go for Xena's play. Shout outs to everybody that's known me in person since set 3 that knows Jiren is my favorite character. So I know a lot of people were like, you finally did it. You finally managed to top or win an event with a Jiren deck. So it's shout outs to everyone. Shout outs to my friends Evan and Nick who came with me to Vegas. And shout outs to my friend Evan for getting 4th place in Vegas with Green Majin Buu. And yeah, that's my deck profile. And thank you for watching.